Okay, it's the 5-minute podcast review for Monday, September 30, 2019. And first up, a quick follow-up. A couple of episodes ago, I reviewed a podcast called Moonrise. It claimed it would, quote, tell a darker story on why we went to the moon. But 3 episodes in, it still wasn't clear to me what that darker story was. It just seemed that we were getting lost in endless setup. Anyhow, I stuck with Moonrise, and I think that now 8 episodes in, it's proving to be an intriguing and, definitely darker story on how and why we went to the moon. It's a slow build story, and it might have been better if all episodes were released at once so you could binge on it and get past the setup episodes quickly and into the guts of the story. But with 8 episodes up now, I think out of 12 in total, it's now at that stage where you can in fact binge it. So if you're on the lookout for a long, slow-building yarn, I'm now officially recommending you give Moonrise a listen, and I'll stick a link on your screen so you can do that. Anyhow, getting back to this episode's podcast, let's start with How To with Charles Duhigg. This is a new podcast. It's been dropping weekly since July and has a pretty simple premise. Each episode, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Charles Duhigg takes on a listener problem and pulls in relevant experts to work a solution. For instance, there's an episode called How to Cook One Perfect Meal, which is in response to Johnny, a 26-year-old bachelor who's a self-confessed klutz in the kitchen. So an expert chef is brought in, and in an episode largely recorded in Johnny's small kitchen, we all get a practical but simple lesson focused on being able to create a single impressive dish, complete with presentation tricks. By contrast, another episode titled How to Uproot Your Life takes on a listener dilemma of whether or not to uproot the family and move countries. In this case, an expert decision maker who, not coincidentally as a professional poker player, is brought in to provide decision-making strategies that help the listener, and actually all of us listeners, with tactics for difficult decision-making. A few of the other episodes include How to Fire a Bad Employee, How to Withstand Pain, and even How to Be Funny. So that's How To with Charles Duhigg. Another podcast to look at or to listen to, it's been around for a while, about a year, is Imagined Life. So I actually had to check back to see that I hadn't already talked about Imagined Life, and I don't think I have. Anyhow, Imagined Life, I guess, could be described as a celebrity biography podcast, but with a twist. The celebrity or notable person who's the subject of each episode isn't revealed up front. In fact, their name isn't revealed until the very end. So the idea is like that we are hearing about the life of a person before they became known, and we get a perspective on what their life was like as it might have been for them without the baggage of what we know or think of the now known and famous person. Or you could just take each episode as a kind of quiz, seeing how long into the episode it takes before you work out who the subject is. Let me just play a short clip from one episode of Imagined Life just to try and better get the idea across.
You want to fit in. You really do. It's not fun being alone all the time. Alone in your head and alone in the world. So you lead with your strength and share all the cool things you know with anyone who will listen. That's a 74 Mustang. The first model was built in 1962. It was the first muscle car and revolutionized the way Detroit upon by an outside force. That's Newton's first law. If another kid says something dumb, you are quick to set him straight. His thinking is flawed. His premise is inaccurate, unsound. No, you can't fly. The force of the planet is greater than the weight of a body. That's gravity. That's why planets orbit around the sun. Behind your back, kids call you a know-it-all. They avoid you when they see you coming. The truth is, you don't care if you're right. You really don't. It just so happens you usually are. You like learning. You like chewing on ideas. You like arguing. And you can't help blurting it out. One dark night, when the neighborhood kids are scaring themselves silly telling ghost stories, you helpfully explain, dark is just the absence of light. You're not invited back to ghost story night.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil the episode and tell you who that was. Maybe some of you have already guessed, but If you haven't, I can tell you it's a current day person whose name you'll definitely know. And the episode, if you want to listen to it, is episode 1 of Imagined Life, called The Outsider. All up, there are currently 29 episodes of Imagined Life up. Could be a good one for a car trip where you can challenge your passengers to see who's first to correctly guess the person who's the subject of each episode. All right, another podcast to check out, one that I've started listening to, and so far so good, is called The Missing Cryptoqueen. This is a BBC documentary spread out over what I think will be 7 episodes. 3 are up at the moment. And it tells the extraordinary story of Dr. Ruja Ignatova and something called OneCoin, which is a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, except it isn't. OneCoin is a global scam that has sucked in thousands of investors and, it seems, billions of dollars. And this Dr. Ruja Ignatova, who is the champion of OneCoin, has gone missing without a trace, and it's unclear so far if she disappeared herself or if she was disappeared, if you know what I mean. And yet OneCoin still continues to operate. Now, I'm frankly surprised I hadn't heard of OneCoin. I had to Google it just to check that I wasn't listening to a fictional drama. And sure enough, OneCoin, or at least the OneCoin scam, exists. And Dr. Ignatova is a real missing person. So the podcast is literally a real-life conspiracy rolling out episode by episode as the documentary investigation continues. And I'm not sure where it's going to lead, but it's a rollicking yarn along the way, and also another extraordinary example of how easily and deeply we can all fall for scams. So it's a good time now, as it's playing out, to pick up on the first 3 episodes already up and join me in seeing where the story of the missing Cryptoqueen leads. Okay, that's it. 3 podcasts to check out. 4 actually, if I include Moonrise, which I'm now officially suggesting you listen to. So the 4 are Moonrise, as I said, How To with Charles Duhigg, hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, Imagined Life, and The Missing Cryptoqueen. Links to all are on your screen, as usual. And don't forget the back episodes for hundreds more podcast suggestions and links. See you in the next episode, and thanks for listening.